Tonight, mass nationwide mobilization of unpaid teachers for a massive street protest in less than 24 hours. As outraged teachers take on government for recruiting 7,000 more teachers while leaving more than 6,000 employees still unpaid.
We've been working for over 13, over 14, over 11, over 10 months, over 17 months, and government have not paid us our arrears and now want to recruit new teachers. We are saying that this is something we would not accept.
Tonight we hear from the education minister who says the 7,000 new teacher recruits fall far short of the 50,000 urgently needed to address the nationwide teacher deficit.
The portal opened when it got to 40,000. The Ghana Education Service instructively closed it in order that we didn't have a stampede of numbers. And therefore, those who were fortunate will be critically examined and assessed in terms of their readiness, their competence and qualification.
Plus, think tank EduWatch criticism of the Education Ministry's failure to ensure the fair distribution of teachers to critically underserved districts.
As a result of the poor distribution of teachers, our monitoring uncovered that 20% of primary schools in Zabzuku district were manned by only one teacher from class 1 to class 6.
We have all the details plus speak to stakeholders here on Top Story, brought to you by Telecel, Connecting Energies, Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil Enjoy, Holy Sleep, and also by Short Pension Trust into the Future. With you, my name is Samuel Kojo Brace. This is live on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra, on Love on 99.5 in Kumasi, and then on 100.5 ATL in Cape Coast, as well as Radio Max in Takoradi. And tonight, there's mass nationwide mobilization of unpaid teachers for a massive street protest. In less than 24 hours, our outraged teachers take on government for recruiting 7,000 more teachers while leaving more than 6,000 employees who are still unpaid. Now, the Education Ministry opened the recruitment portal a few days ago, and over 40,000 trained teachers have applied for the 7,000 slots. Even though the minister says the sector needs about 50,000 teachers, the Finance Ministry only gave financial clearance for 7,000 of these 50,000 teachers needed. Listen to Haruna Drusu, Minister of Education, make the point at a news conference earlier today.
There is a teacher deficit in Ghana. If resources were available, we should be employing and recruiting up to 50,000 teachers across the country. But owing to budgetary constraints, we are unable to do that. The Ministry of Education received clearance from the Ministry of Finance to recruit up to 7,000 teachers with degree and diplomas, and accordingly the process have been advertised in an open, transparent manner. My understanding is that it reflected need because many, if not all, the district assemblies were involved, particularly those that need teachers very critically. And as the portal opened, when it got to 40,000, the Ghana Education Service instructively closed it in order that we didn't have a stampede of numbers. And therefore, those who were fortunate will be critically examined and assessed in terms of their readiness, their competence and qualification, and the best 7,000 of the over 40,000 applicants. At least my understanding, as I spoke to the Director General of Education yesterday, Professor David, even within that time period, we had up to 40,000 applicants, and we have. So we'll take the best out of the 40,000. Better luck next time for those who have an opportunity. If we do have clearance from the Honorable Minister for Finance, we will do our best.
So that is the Education Minister, Haruna Idrisu, there. But as the sector minister complains about budgetary allocation, education think tank EduWatch is raising concerns about understaffing, particularly in rural areas. The executive director, Kofi Asare, says the Ghana's teacher distribution remains highly uneven.
With 47,000 teachers at the KG level and 125,000 teachers at the primary level, Ghana has about 15,000 more teachers than required. to meet the pupil-teacher ratio of 30:1 at the KG and primary level. At the JHS level, however, there are deficits, especially in STEM subject areas. This provides the context for our findings in teacher deployment. Despite surplus teacher situation at the KG level and primary level, some 30,000 classrooms still lack teachers due to distributive inefficiencies, culminating in surplus teacher deployment in regional capitals, metropolitan areas, and urban municipalities. In the northern region, for instance, while there are 1,000 more primary and junior high school teachers than needed, about 40% of them are concentrated in Tamale and Sadanrigu alone. In Tamale and Sadanrigu, however, only 25% of students in the northern region are found in schools. This situation obviously continues to deny rural access to teachers. As a result of the poor distribution of teachers, our monitoring uncovered that 20% of primary schools in Zabzugu district were manned by only one teacher from class 1 to class 6. We welcome the ongoing process to recruit 7,000 teachers and also welcome the presidential commitment to ensure targeted decentralized teacher deployment to only teacher deficit districts and schools. While the estimated 7,000 teachers is below expectation, it provides some opportunity for government to give a true meaning to the age-old lip service that the education sector has paid to the issue of teacher rationalization.
Professor, there. Now, the coalition of unpaid teachers is not happy about this recruitment while they remain unpaid for several months. And I told you earlier that they are mobilizing to demonstrate tomorrow. We'll speak to them shortly here on Top Story. Well, Eugene Zorano Sechofia is the national organizer of the Coalition of Unpaid Teachers, and he joins us on the phone lines now. Eugene, I'm grateful to you for joining us. How many months have you remained unpaid?
All right, so thank you, and a very good evening to your cherished listeners this evening. So the number of months we've worked without salary varies, because I have some teachers who have worked counting 17 to 18 months as we speak, who even do not have staff IDs at all. And as we speak, we do not know whether they would get staff IDs for them to even be paid. We have some teachers who have worked for 14, 13, 11, and 10 months respectively, whose salary arrears hasn't been paid by the government of Ghana.
But just as you were recruited, but again, before I even get there, what has been the reason that the Ministry of Education has been giving you for the unpaid months that you've worked?
All right, so we've engaged the Director General of Education, we've engaged the Minister. Our very last engagement with the Minister of Education, Haruna Idrisu, was on the 18th of March. And his discussion was to listen to our plight, how we are feeling and how the situation is really devastating on our side. And he promised us that he would work as soon as possible to ensure that things are being expedited. But the truth is, he made us aware that a memo has been written between Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Education to ensure that teachers are recruited and our arrears or our salaries are also being paid to us. But as we speak, we've only seen the recruitment ongoing. We are saying that if a chief shepherd is shepherding 1,000 flocks to pasture, and then we are having 1,000 of them not returning, why do you ask 7,000 to go back to the field and go and pasture again? We are saying that this recruitment they are doing is meaning that we are not a priority to this government and this sector of education, because we are already in the field working and you cannot even give us our remuneration. Then we don't know why this government should again recruit 7,000 teachers. For that matter, we are hitting the street in as much as the minister has asked us not to demonstrate, but we should give him some chance or some time to work on our issue for us. But we are saying that we were together recruited with the nurses. Why are they receiving their arrears starting from this month, April, and we are being left behind? Are we also not providing essential services in this country? For that matter, tomorrow we are hitting the street and we are no living stone unturned.
But were you giving a timeline within which your monies will be, or the
we were never given a timeline on the 18th when we met the minister. He just asked us to give him time. So we even did a press statement giving the government up to the 12th of April 2026 to hear something from him. At least the only thing we wanted was the payment plan, irrespective of when we were going to receive it. But yes, still we haven't received it. Our engagement with the Director General on the 6th of March, he also told us that he also don't know when that payment plan will be reached. So as we speak, we feel both of them have done their part, but we are not getting any response coming from them. For that matter, tomorrow, we want to see His Excellency John Dramani Mahama himself or the Vice President or the Chief of Staff to come and address us and tell us something substantive, or else we will not leave tomorrow.
So the end game of the demonstration is to get the President to speak to you?
We expect the President to come and talk to us because he was once a teacher like us and he should feel the pain we are going through.
And after that, what next?
We are saying that if we go tomorrow and we do not get any proper feedback, we are not leaving. We will sleep at the Ministry of Finance tomorrow until we get our payment plan.
So you're coming with your mattresses?
We are coming to, in fact, my colleagues from Kumasi and Tamale are already on their way coming. I am in Greater Accra, so I'm just waiting tomorrow morning by 6 a.m. I'm on my way meeting them. We are not leaving. We've all packed our belongings. We all have dresses in our bags, prepared to sleep at the Ministry of Finance until the minister gives us our payment plan. We are not leaving. That is the last thing we will do.
Well, but I guess before you came in, there were others who had same issue like you, but you were also employed. Why shouldn't the 7,000 be employed?
Please come again.
I'm saying that just as you have issues now, I'm sure when you were being employed, other teachers who were in the system had issues with non-payment, but you were employed. Why shouldn't the ministry employ?
Okay, so let's look at this. It is under this same government when teachers work between 2013 until 2026, I stand to be corrected, when they work for 3 good years and they only paid 3 months' salary. It was under this same government, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, that it repeated for the first time. By then, our Vice President today was then the Minister of Education. And those teachers still have that pain at heart. We are saying that why should the teacher continue to be treated like this? We are saying that we are asking the government to bring an end to this injustice as far as the teachers are concerned. Whether it has happened before, we are saying that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama should not sit for this to happen for the second time. That is what our group is standing to achieve, that we would not want this to happen to us in the history of Ghana for the second time.
Eugene, I'm grateful to you and we wish you all the best for your.
I also appreciate the time you've given me, and then I pray that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama will listen to our call and then at least heed to our plea. Thank you.
Eugene Zorano Sechofia is national organizer, a coalition of unpaid teachers. Let me bring in Jacob Anaba. He's national president of NAGRA. Jacob, grateful to you, sir, for joining. How can this issue really be addressed when teachers complain of not being paid?
Can you raise your voice a bit?
Can you hear me now? Is it okay?
Yes.
Great. So I'm just asking of solutions. How can this issue be addressed? Non-payment of teachers for several months.
Oh, the payment of the arrears for the teachers who have been recruited already.
Yes, exactly. Those who are
it's a matter of the minister impressing upon the Ministry of Finance to release money for their payment. I think it's long overdue. These are young graduates, Ghanaian youth who are ready to serve their nation. They have been recruited for this number of months, and you are delaying their payment. It's not the best. And you have announced that you are going to recruit more, and their fate, they do not know their fate up to now. It is unfair. I think that the way they treat teachers in this country is unfair. Like the young man mentioned, the other sectors like the nursing, they have been treated differently. What is happening? What is wrong? The Minister for Finance must sit up and do the right thing. I want to urge the Minister for Education to push harder. I don't know what is blocking their money from coming, but this is unfair. We will not condone this, and we support what they are saying. They must register their displeasure, and there are so many means of registering their displeasure, and we support what they are saying. I want to urge the ministry tomorrow, they must make a statement emphatically that they will be paid within this short possible time.
But Mr. Naba, we have been told that government is trying to recruit 7,000 out of a possible 50,000 that we need currently. What do you make of the number?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me, Mr. Naba?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so I wanted to help us with the 7,000 that are being recruited.
7,000 that they are going to recruit.
Yeah, would that help you?
In fact, it's a welcoming news to recruit new teachers because already we have underserved areas where we do not have teachers, as Edu Watch has mentioned in your interview. And so we need more teachers. It's a welcoming news, but it falls below our expectation. In fact, we need, like the minister himself mentioned, over 50,000 teachers in the classroom. So it means we lack teachers in so many areas. So and the number of teachers who are in the system is over 100,000. Graduate teachers and diploma who are in the system. And even this 7,000 that they are recruiting, it's not only teachers. It is teachers and non-teaching staff. So the teachers make up of only 5,000. So it means, and as the minister indicated, about 400,000 have already, 40,000 have already applied. 6 times the number you want. So there is a very urgent need for the ministry to push harder to increase the numbers of teachers that are recruited yearly. This is not acceptable. If we want to develop this country, we must take education serious. And one of the areas is to ensure that we have adequate number of teachers in the classroom to take care of our educational needs. So we welcome the news, but it falls far, far below our expectations.
I'm grateful to you for joining us. Jacob Anaba is National President of NAGRA. Let me bring in Kofi Asare now. He is the Executive Director of the Africa Education Watch. Kofi, I'm grateful to you for joining. You are talking about the unevenness of distribution of teachers, but before I bring you there, I want you to look at how we can deal with this, regular shortage of teachers and our inability to recruit the required number that could deal with the pressure in the educational system.
Okay, but before I address that, let me just tell you something that Ghana can learn to solve the problem that Jacob, my very good friend, and the frustrated teacher, I actually
Eugene Zorano
sympathize with him, was explaining. If you go to Kenya, the Teaching Service Commission, the equivalent of, let's say, NTC, they do the licensing of teachers, okay? Immediately you graduate and you obtain your license, and listen very well, they take your data, all your biodata is moved onto their database. Your bank account number, every biodata that will be needed when you are being employed in future is taken onto their database. Immediately you finish college and you get your license. And so, immediately you are employed after 1 year. By that time, your biodata is already in the system a year ago. So they only migrate it from there to the Controller General. So there's nothing like, go, take your birth cert, take your this, take this. It doesn't exist in Kenya. If you are recruited on January 10th in Kenya, you get your salary on January 30th. That's how it works there. So Ghana can learn something from Kenya. If we really want to reduce the turnaround time and the unnecessary bureaucracy and surrounding teacher recruitment and enlistment, payroll issues and all that. Now back to the substantive issue of why have we struggled. Chairman, the issue is that we have more teachers than we need at the primary and KG level. That is the reality. It's not that we are struggling to employ. No. We have more teachers than we need. Statistically, if you look at the data very well, at KG we have close to 4,000 teachers more than we need. At primary, it's about 9,000. And so our problem at KG and primary is a distribution one.
So the 50,000
that they congregate in municipal, metropolitan areas. I'm talking about the districts, the centers, and then in regional capitals. When you move beyond the regional capitals or the municipal and metropolitan capitals, and you go to the districts, you struggle to find them there. That is the challenge that our teacher distribution system has created over the years. So ours at KG and primary is a distributive efficiency problem, and not that the government struggles to employ. All we keep employing is to cover for inefficiencies. So can you imagine that if you have 15,000 more than you need at KG and primary, That's about 900 million Ghana cedis a year in terms of salaries. Okay? And which country does that? Where there are deficits at the GHS level, especially in the STEM target areas, I agree that we must enhance engagement of teachers at that level. But at KG and primary, how we need to get right is the right model to distribute teachers based on need, strictly demand-driven, not based on political influences and elite influence and all that. If we continue that way, we'll continue to pour a lot of water in a basket. That's why we find ourselves where we are today. We have called on the GES to publish the quota. It is allocating to all the deprived districts per the 7,000 allocation. We want to track where every single teacher is taken to be sure that only the published districts that have teacher deficits get the 7,000. That some should not come to Accra, to Adenta, to Lankantana Medina, to Ayawa Suwesugong. None should land there. All of them should go to Zabzugu and Tatale and Naptam and North and all that.
The hinterlands.
We want that data published. If they publish the quotas, we are able to, in collaboration with the media, track actual distribution of the teachers.
Okay, Kofi. So the 50,000 that the minister mentioned that is needed to deal with teacher deficit, where is that? Where is that deficit? Because you explained
the 50,000 the minister mentioned is subject to us not redistributing teachers.
Oh,
it's subject to us not redistributing and continuing to build on the inefficiency. That is the 50,000. It is just like the ECG problem, where we are running commercial losses. And then we tax about 60% of usage of electricity to pay for 100%. So it's similar, just something similar. 50K is when you are not ready to redistribute. But if you are ready to redistribute, the number reduces, as I've said. I'm not talking about inefficiencies at the secondary level. I'm just talking about KG and primary. And I'm saying that if we want to be efficient and want to get value for money, we can redistribute the 15,000 poor teachers to the places where, and look, the 15,000 is actually the surplus. It's not as if the 15,000 are supposed to go to NAPDAM and they refuse to go. Or they're supposed to be in Kojo. No. The 15,000 is the surplus after distributing the total national cake 30:1.
Kofi, let me.
I want to hear the minister pronounce on teacher redistribution and what the plan is to redeploy or redistribute teachers. That is what I want to hear, because that number is twice more than the 7,000 that the minister and the GES have been talking about all this while. That will give us the assurance that the government, for the first time in many, many years, wants to give a true meaning to distribute efficiency when it comes to existing teachers and then to the prospective teachers.
Kofi, so for emphasis sake, if we are able to redistribute teachers well, there's nothing like teacher deficit that we need to employ to fill.
There's nothing like
teacher deficit that we need to employ to fill if we do proper redistribution.
No, we need. I said that we need to employ, especially at the junior high school level. The deficit is close to about 30K, because you see, in junior high schools, every class must have about 5 teachers. Unlike the primary and KG, where every class of 30 must have 1 teacher. In the junior high school level, every class must have about 5 teachers. So the PTR there is, I think, 1:11, and we are doing 1 to about 20. So we need about 30K teachers at the junior high school level, because they do subject-specific teaching. That's what I'm saying. That the deficit is high at the junior high school level. But again, there's a challenge there. The data in the education system is normally not on the subject background of teachers. And so we do the PTR analysis for junior high schools without necessarily knowing the actual subjects that the deficits are in. And so we need to move beyond collecting data of teachers in junior high schools to collecting data on their subject background, their specialties, so that we're able to determine that if we need 500 math teachers, we need 400 English teachers, then we are able to know that at the junior high school level. But as I'm saying, at the primary and KG level, if we commit to proper distributive efficiency of 30 pupils to 1 teacher, our problem is to redistribute the surplus that we have in the system. And everybody knows it's not new. It's been so every time, except that people refuse to accept postings. And the system is not ready to repost.
Okay.
Because the system consciously created a surplus.
Okay.
Due to influences. And so we must break that ice and then see efforts to redistribute surplus teachers. Other than that, I'm saying that we'll be spending 900 million every year on teachers who are in areas that we don't need them, when they could have been in areas that they are needed.
Kofi, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. Kofi Asare is Executive Director of the Africa Education Watch. Let me bring in Daniel Feng. He is Public Relations Unit Head for Ghana Education Service. Danny, I'm grateful to you. I need clarification. The 7,000 that are being recruited, which level are they for? Hello, Daniel.
Thank you very much. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
I can hear you. If you heard my question.
Yes. So we are recruiting across various levels. So we have the early grade level, we have the primary level, we have the junior high, and then the senior high school level. So the plan of the Ghana Education Service.
It's fine, but Danny, aren't you aware of the data Kofi Asare is talking about, where we have surplus at the basic level, at the early stage level? What you need to do is to redistribute them. Aren't you aware of that data?
Yes, indeed. For us as Ghana Education Service, we have the data, and the data is that all districts, in fact, starting from the school level, all schools, districts, and regions were asked to declare vacant positions or places even before the start of the exercise. And so our recruitment is based on the various vacancies that were declared. And so from where we are sitting, in fact, that's the more reason the various grade levels were featured in the portal for the recruitment. And so that if we are looking at the early grade level or the primary level, how many of these teachers do we need at these various levels? And so our recruitment, of course, is based on the data coming from the school level, coming from the district level, and then the regional level.
But did you hear Kofi Asare mention the 15,000 surplus that you only have to redistribute?
Yes, so I'm coming to the teacher rationalization. Teacher rationalization has equally been a significant issue on the table. I mean, the idea that for some of the levels, there are surplus of teachers, and all that must be done is the distribution of, or if you like, redistribution of teachers across some of these levels. But it is not. That analysis is quite simplistic. I say quite simplistic to mean that we would have places where teachers are not willing to go. In fact, we call them deprived communities. We have places where at the early grade level, looking at the population of the, not only early grade level, even the primary level, the population of students in the class, you may need a teacher and then an assistant or two teachers in the classroom due to the number of children, especially at the very early grade levels. And so for the rationalization of teachers and then distribution of teachers is equally an important element for we as Ghana Education Service, looking at some of the dynamics and how some of these distributions.
But as you say that they refuse reposting, what do you then do as a service? You employed them. If you need them somewhere and they are not going, what do you do? Because I'm aware of communities where there are more teachers than they need.
Yes, it is not really a matter of they are not even going. So it's not as if we have teachers and they are stubborn. They are denying postings or repostings to various places. But for example, if we have districts that have declared that, for example, they need 2 teachers at the early grade level or 3 teachers at the primary school level, and that in their thinking, looking at the 7,000 that we are coming to recruit, they believe that out of the 7,000, post 2 of them to this district or post 3 of them to this district. That data will find expression in the exercise we are going to conduct. Same way, the rationalization of teachers or redistribution of teachers is an exercise that we as Ghana Education Service are also looking at, analyzing, assessing based on the distribution and the data that these districts have submitted to us. It's equally an exercise that Ghana Education Service is looking at strongly to see how some of this redistribution could be done to make sure that all the various places that have classrooms could be filled. It is not an either situation. If we are recruiting, it means that we will not.
All right, Daniel, I'm grateful to you for joining us. Daniel Fenyi is Public Relations Unit Head of the Ghana Education Service. Time for us to bring you news next time.
And tonight, more pressure on government as civil society organizations, including Imani Africa and COPEC, demand government reduces taxes and margins on fuel by almost 40% as the next pricing window nears.
Without government intervention, mind you, by Thursday, the fuel prices would have inched up again. Something more comprehensive would have to give beyond just taking out some of these taxes for the next 4 weeks or so.
But some economists say the demand is on the high side.
Yes, so that is too high. For government to shed 40% is really going to affect government. So 20% will be a fair deal of discussion or proposal for government to consider, and not as high as they have presented.
Also tonight, Agenda 111's 20 billion Ghana cedi cost compels government to reach out to the private sector in a determined bid to complete the inherited uncompleted hospitals. We'll hear from the health minister, who has been taking on former President Nana Akufo-Addo for questioning government's commitment to completing the project.
After expending 4.8 billion Ghana cedis, you couldn't finish it. If it was that easy, you could have finished it. Because we need, again, 20 billion to be able to complete all. Where are we going to get that money? It's the pure private sector, profit-oriented. So you have money, you will come. This is 20% complete. Okay, we'll sign an agreement, finish, run, by 20 years or 10 years, revert back to the state.
Also, Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association rejects government's new recruitment policy, with nurses and other health professionals now required to apply and undergo interviews for recruitment and postings.
When you do that, it gives chances for favoritism. So somebody who completed 2020 has been sitting in the house, and another person who completed 2023 will get appointment. It is not fair.
In business,
International Monetary Fund wants Ghana not to rush to increase policy rate due to current war in Middle East. Details from the ongoing World Bank IMF spring meetings.
And a bit later in sports,
Barcelona targets standing Champions League comeback against Atletico Madrid tonight, with live commentary from the Joy Sports team.
The latest of these and many other stories are coming up in the next 60 minutes. You can be a part of this show by sending us a WhatsApp on 055 11 11 997. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi.
My name is Gemma Appiah.
Details shortly.
There are many reasons to connect, and it's all to put smiles on the faces of those you love.
Daddy, thanks for the tea cash, okay? I love you.
That's my daughter, Angela. Caring for my parents, that's my duty. I also get to pay my utility bills easily with Telecel Cash. And to the suppliers at my shop,
hello sir, Telecel Cash payment received right on time. Thank you.
I get to make them smile because I can pay to my suppliers' merchant numbers, even on other networks directly. My dear ones, we keep the connection stronger when our family, friends, and business relations are happy. Live on cash, enjoy convenience, and make those who matter smile when you send them money with Telecel Cash.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining my ears, bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me da na ma da with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito Toquel Holy Multi-Purpose Insecticide Spray. Ghana Kron Kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
Good evening. A coalition of 4 leading policy and energy think tanks is intensifying pressure on government to immediately reduce fuel prices, proposing a sweeping cut of 40% of taxes and margins per litre through targeted tax and levy adjustments within the petroleum price build-up.
The groups, including Imani Africa, COPEC Ghana, and the Institute for Energy Security, argue that their proposal offers immediate relief for consumers without causing long-term instability in the downstream petroleum sector.
And their intervention comes in the wake of a directive from President John Mahama, who has tasked the Finance and Energy Ministries to review fuel pricing structures and recommend measures to cushion Ghanaians against rising living costs.
The groups argue that the intervention must go beyond short-term optics, insisting that while relief is necessary, it must be carefully balanced to avoid destabilizing the petroleum sector. My colleague Caleb Ziblim joins us with details of the key proposals. Caleb, how did they arrive at the 1 cedi 65 pesos reduction proposal?
Yes, Gemma. So on every liter of fuel that we buy, we pay taxes of 4 cedis. 20 pesos on average. So for every one liter, we pay taxes of about 4 cedis, 20 pesos. Now the group has gone to the tax build-up, and then they've decided that about 1 cedi, 65 pesos should be taken out as the relief for consumers. And the breakdown of their proposal is that the 1 cedi extra levy that was introduced last year should be cut by 50 pesos. So the government should reduce the 1 cedi by 50 pesos. Again, the road fund levy, which is currently 48 pesos, should go down by 24 pesos. Then the special petroleum tax should go down by 23 pesos. Then they come to the margins, and the boss margin, they say, should be halved from 12 pesos to 6 pesos. The fuel market margin should be reduced to 3 pesos. The UPPF should be reduced by 45 pesos, and the price stabilization levy should be taken out entirely. So according to the group, if the government accepts this, the reduction is going to be 1 cedi, 65 pesos.
They've also challenged the timeline government proposed. Why?
Yes, so according to the coalition, they want the timeline for the implementation to be 2 months. Remember when the government communications minister spoke, he said it's going to be in place for 4 weeks. But according to the coalition, this is going to be in place. They want it to be in place for 8 weeks. And then the challenge here is that if you look at the proposal from the coalition and you do the math, government is going to lose about 555 million Ghana cedis, almost 600 million Ghana cedis in a month. So if the government approves this proposal and goes ahead to take it in place for 2 months, there's going to be a government shortfall of almost 1.2 billion Ghana cedis for the 2-month period. So again, this is something that the government will have to take into consideration.
What are their long-term demands as well?
So for the long-term demands, the coalition is asking that the Bost and Tema oil refinery are better resourced and provided with the appropriate logistics. Again, the group is saying that a strategic reserve fund should be put in place so that that fund can be used to purchase fuel and then store them for times like this. And finally, the group is also asking that some of the obsolete taxes or some taxes on the tax build-up have outlived their purpose, and then they should be taken out.
Thank you very much. Caleb Ziblim is with our research desk.
Well, let's go on to Zoom right now and speak to Williams Kwesi Pipra. He is an associate professor at Andrews University in the United States. Welcome to the program. These groups urged government to cut as much as 40% of the current taxes on petroleum products. Is that something you agree with them?
Good evening to you and good evening to your listeners. So in my point of view, 40% cut is too high. The impact on Ghana's revenue is going to be very dire. It would be fair to have about 20% cut as a relief to Ghanaians, and this is what I think we'll have to be able to do to support government budgets. Also proposing that government on its side may also have to go to Parliament with a media budget review to also reduce some expenditure line item that will be able to meet the shortfall in revenue that will be coming out of this tax relief on petroleum.
Well, the group is also suggesting that government extends this from 1 to 2 months to ensure that Ghanaians are cushioned enough. If we are to suggest a timeline with which government should reduce the taxes on petroleum products, how many months are we looking at?
So if we look at what is happening at the Far East, this war is not going to end in 1 month time. And it's going to be worse based on data provided by both IMF and the World Bank. At a spring meeting, they gave a brief discussion. The anticipation is that it may last for 3 to 6 months. So if government is planning to come out with a relief, a 4-week plan or relief in taxes on petroleum, it's not something that will help businesses to plan. It's not going to help citizens to be able to plan their life. A government may have to look at about 6 months, and in so doing, they must tie in with a review of our budget for 2026 to be able to support this plan that I'm proposing.
But Professor Pepper, if I do the calculation, you are proposing a 20% reduction in taxes and levies on petroleum products. The groups are also proposing 40%. That would amount to somewhere around 600 million Ghana cedis. So if you divide that by 2, that means we are going to lose 300 million Ghana cedis every month for the next 6 months. Is that not too much?
It's too much. So that is why I am proposing that we cannot just look at, we cannot have this discussion on petroleum. We should, petroleum reduction, we should extend it to other government line items where we must reduce those expenditure. For example, our capital expenditure line items, some goods and services. And if we can defer those expenditure line items into 2027 to make room for the shortfall of revenue. This is something that I'm proposing that will help government to be able to meet its fiscal budget in 2026. Let's remember, we are still under an IMF program. We don't want to deviate from the quantitative targets. This decision that we are looking at may have an impact on the entire economy. If we don't plan very well and just focus on a short-term measure, we may come back again and say, 4 weeks we couldn't the war has not stopped. Then we go back again to say so let's have about 6 months, 3 months overview.
Right. Professor Williams, Kwesi Pepper, thank you very much for your insights there. Very grateful.
Duncan Amoy is the Executive Secretary of COPEC. He joins us now with more. Welcome to News 9. Your proposal means government will be losing about 555 million cedis in taxes alone on fuel products. That's a big blow to government revenue, not so?
What we oftentimes forget is that when you talk of the petroleum sector, there are 3 streams that, as a country, you would operate. You have the upstream, the midstream, the downstream. Where upstream is where you are doing exploration and production, and then, of course, much of what you would produce, the crude, you would also export. Midstream has to do with your refining and, of course, tolling and every other service that comes with processing of petroleum products. Then the downstream is where petroleum products are sold to you and I, and taxes are collected. What we are discussing has to do with the downstream, where you and I are paying taxes in order to, as it were, keep the country's budget running. What we should also avert our minds to is the fact that the upstream is also a revenue generating point for government, where what we produce, we also export, and then we get the revenue for same. In the context of the current Gulf tension, it has seen international market prices for crude go up quite heavily.
over 30%. It's also seen the prices of petroleum products go up, for which you are paying more at the pumps. And so when you take off some of the taxes which constitute revenue for government, at this point, the explanation you get to balance this is that you are also going to get some windfall from the petroleum exports that the government does, for which I would always use this analysis to say that if I was exporting, or we are doing a lifting of 100,000 barrels, and at $70 or 72 per the budget, we could have made about $72 million. Today is over $100. So you'll be making over 100 million USD for same volume or quantity lifting. That is an enhanced $30 million per 100,000 barrels of lifting. And so government could lose 550, 560, even 600 million Ghana cedis. If you are gaining about 30% of 30 million USD, that alone is giving you almost 360, getting to 400 million Ghana cedis. So if you do a double of that within the 4 weeks, government would have recovered. And we think that government indeed, yes, could lose some revenue, but at the end of the day, the Balancing Act would insist that there will be some windfall also upstream that the government could use to make up for the revenue loss.
Duncan Amwa, thank you so much, Executive Secretary of COPEC.
And joining us tonight, learning that government is set to change strategy in a desperate bid to complete the Agenda 111 hospitals they inherited from the MPP administration. Health Minister Kobna Minta-Kando has disclosed to Joy News that government will now involve the private sector completing the hospitals. A recent assessment revealed that it will cost about 20 billion Ghana cedis to complete the hospitals. The revelations come days after former President Akufo-Addo challenged the John Mahama administration to finish the hospitals and put them to use. Listen.
Agenda 111 was designed to correct this imbalance by constructing district hospitals, regional hospitals for the newly created regions, specialized psychiatric facilities, and the rehabilitation of key health institutions across the country. It is a program that reflects a simple but powerful principle that no Ghanaian, regardless of location, should be denied access to quality health care. We must also be honest. Not every project was realized. Not every project was completed. Some facilities reached advanced stages but could not be finished before our term ended. Agenda 111 must be continued.
In sharper battle on PM Express last night, the Minister for Health, Kobna Minta-Kando, took on the former president for leaving most of the structures uncompleted despite spending close to 5 billion cedis on the project.
With the greatest of respect to our former president, I wish that there are some statements that he should not make. If you do that, you open yourself for criticisms that at this point in time, I think he must be resting. Do you understand? You told the whole country, even as you know, that before you leave office, you are going to finish all Agenda 111 projects. Tell me if I'm lying.
He hasn't finished it, yes. He said
it not only hasn't it finished it, that the 111 hospitals, not a single one was completed after expending 4.8 billion Ghana cedis.
But he says government is a continuum.
I agree.
You've won the power.
I agree. You couldn't finish it in 8 years. Somebody must continue. I agree. But you couldn't finish it. If it was that easy, you could have finished it. And when we took over, we needed to understand the magnitude of what we had inherited. So we had to commission an audit.
What did the audit say?
Well, there are 2 reports on it. There are some of them who have been paid more than the work they have done. There are some of them who are giving mobilization and they even never went to site. It is in the special audit. You remember?
Are we going to see people held?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. But this is not in the hands of the Ministry of Health.
You giving it to who?
It is purely the Auditor General and the Attorney General.
So the Attorney General is going to prosecute people?
I am very sure about that.
For causing financial loss in the Agenda 111?
That is, the Attorney General is government's lawyer, so he knows best.
Okay.
So it is not for me to say that. So, Evans, the good news is that His Excellency has directed that he is not going to abandon any ongoing project.
Well, this is how government, however, intends to deal with the challenge.
One, government is going to identify some, put in money, roll them year by year and finish. So say in 2026, in the budget, we are doing 10 and finish. So government is going to target about 30 to 40 of these facilities and run, finish. Government is going to take another about 30 to 40 and say, charge Christian Head Association of Ghana, Pentecost, you can come and take one. Catholic, come and take some. Those churches, come and take, because after all, we provide them with medical doctors, we provide them with nurses, and we pay their compensations for them. So we have that arrangement with them. So we can let them come and take up some of the equipment, complete, equip and run.
So you are again looking for private sector involvement in the completion.
Exactly. So we are thinking and planning and see how we can complete them. The third tier is the pure private sector, profit oriented. So you have money, you come. This is 20% complete. Okay, we sign an agreement, finish, run. By 20 years or 10 years, we revert back to the state or subject to renewal. Thinking and planning, because we need again 20 billion to be able to complete all. Where are we going to get that money? So if we are going to wait till we get that money, it's going to take us more than 10 years.
20 billion CDs.
CDs, yes. It's going to take us some years. But we think that if we go by this approach, we will be able to finish this in less than 3 to 5 years. We are even saying that there are some corporate bodies. If it's a mining company and there's Agenda 111 within that area, as part of your corporate social responsibility, you can come and pick it, finish it, equip it, and give it back to government. So these are the things we are thinking about.
And the Joy News research team has been combing through the facts around the funding of the program, and Caleb Ziblim of our research desk is once again joining me in studio with more. Caleb, how much is the total cost of the program? How much was spent on it? And how much more does government need to complete and equip them?
Okay, Ken, so for how much was spent, we don't have a confirmation yet, but then we know that in 2021, 600 million was initially set for the first phase of the project. So that's 600 million Ghana cedis. Then now, according to PIAC in 2025, just last year, they said a total of 2.6 billion cedis from Ghana's oil revenue was sent to the Agenda 111 Secretariat for the implementation of this project. So if you add the 2.6 billion cedis to the initial 600 million Ghana cedis, we have a total of 3.2 billion cedis that has been allocated and possibly spent on the Agenda 111 project. And we heard from the minister yesterday that about 20 billion Ghana cedis will be needed to complete the exercise.
Caleb Ziblim, thank you.
Let's go to the phone line and speak to former Deputy Health Minister Alexander Abang on this. Thank you so much for joining us. First, let me get your reaction to the posture of the Health Minister to the call by the former President. Hello, Mr. Aban. So we are still working the line to speak to a former Deputy Health Minister Alexander Aban under the Ekofado-led government. Are you on the line to us?
I'm here, please.
So I want to get your reaction to the posture of the Health Minister regarding the call by the former President.
Thank you very much. I think that in his response, he himself acknowledged that government is a continuous process. It's a continuum. And so long as a new government has come into place, if that project is actually something that is good for the people of the country, it is necessary that government as government continues its work. The only thing is that is the personalities who constitute the government that have changed. And so it is right that he agreed with the former president. But I don't see why he's even saying that the former president should not have made the call. After all, if you agree that the business of governance is a continuum and that you need to complete projects that have been initiated but not fully completed by a previous government, there's no need for you to even say that the former president should not have made the call, because the call is properly placed. So
Because the Akufo-Addo-led government was unable to complete the Agenda 111 projects, now the government intends to draw in the private sector, such that the private sector would take, complete, equip and run these projects. What do you make of the intention on the table now?
For me, my take is that these are projects that have, we have spent a lot of money on. And so if we're able to finish them, it will be good for the health advancement of the people of Ghana. And so my take is that we should be able to finish them. But according to the minister, the government may not have money to deal with it the way we all expected. He gave 3 scenarios. One that the government itself would try and complete. Others that partners like CHAG and other health providers in the public space may also partner government to finish. Then those that may be privately owned and run for a number of years. What we should guard against is a situation where we may find ourselves giving public's money to the private person. There will be the need for proper financial analysis to be done to see how much the taxpayer has actually spent on some of these uncompleted projects. And then we get into proper agreement with them. I'll have no problem if we are able to do PPP. After all, if they sit there uncompleted, they give no value. And so if they can go through this route and get all these hospitals running, I'm sure the collateral effect will be better health for all of us. And of course, we'll have employment for nurses who have been sitting at home. Because as of now, what I know is that the cohort that is being considered for employment now is the 2022 batch, meaning that those who completed 2023, 2024, 2025 will still be sitting at home doing nothing. And so for me, it has to do with planning and thinking, as he himself said. So if this is what would lead to the best outcomes, why not? I have no problem against it.
Right. Thank you so much.
The only thing is that we must do it in such a manner that we do not bring in cronyism, friendship, nepotism, and all those kind of things. And before we realize, the state has rather enriched some private individuals.
Right. Thank you so much. Alexander Aban is a former Deputy Health Minister under the Akufo-Addo-led government.
Professor Titus Bayo is a member of the advisory board at the Ministry of Health. He's joining us on the telephone lines right now. Professor Bayo, welcome to the program. You've been listening to the former Deputy Health Minister. You have some few responses.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I think I would invite our colleagues on the other side who, to use very, very kind words, created this mess that is hanging around the neck of government to bring constructive advice that will help us get ourselves out of this mess. You see, the way Agenda 111 was designed defies any logic in project implementation or management. You don't start 111 hospitals at the same time without any funds, dedicated funds available. As the minister mentioned, we have audited this thing, and they have spent over 4.8 billion. That could have been enough to complete 20 to 22 of these Agenda 111 hospitals. Now we have them dotted around the country at various stages of completion. Some never started. And so if you are trying to think outside the box to fix this situation, I think the least we would expect from anyone who was part of this creation is constructive advice and commendation for thinking out of the box. Because, Evans, where are we going to get about 20 billion when the entire annual budget of the entire ministry is about 34 billion? including NHIS, Mahama Care, CAPEX, compensation, everything put together, is about 34 billion. How will you get 20 billion to fix such a situation? So what it means is that any prudent and responsive government will have to prioritize which ones can we realistically finish. If we are going to put 10 in the budget each year, it will take us over 10 years to finish.
Right.
By the time we get to some others, the extent of deterioration will be so much that it would have been better just condemning them and starting afresh. This is the reasoning behind which government says, based on the fiscal space available, can we prioritize and complete some? Can we invite other people in to complete some? Can we hand over others to private people who have the capacity to complete it and ensure that services are still rendered to Ghanaians? The fear of handing over things into private hands, I do not know. I'll be very surprised that anybody of the new patriotic ancestry or lineage will be worried about having private sector involvement. I mean, they who trumpet the private sector more than them.
Right. That's a very big question you've asked. But thank you very much for your time this evening. Professor Titus Bayo is a member of the advisory board at the Ministry of Health. And still to come on the program, MPP slams arrest of Bono Regional Chairman, describing it as an abuse of power and a deliberate attempt to silence opposition voices.
It is very sad that Ghana, our beloved country, the Ghana that we handed over to His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, is turning to become a police state. Media freedom has been stifled.
That's what's coming up after the break. But before that, let's do business.
Now, the International Monetary Fund warns Ghana not to rush to increase policy rate due to current war in the Middle East. Details from the ongoing World Bank IMF spring meetings. Business News on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN, Kingdom Books and Stationery, Syntex Tanks, and Pepsodent Charcoal and Herbal.
Je m'appelle.
Je m'appelle.
Je m'appelle.
Mappe. Et mappé. Hey, Asamo. French idiot. This is a midi croissant.
Meet a Jam. She makes sobolo in a small shop in Kaswa. She's going places with MTN Ejumapa. Now, she's learning French kakra to teach her francophone customers indigenous recipes.
Watashi no namae wa.
Watashi no na. My boy.
Whoa. She's learning Japanese too? Watash. What? If you're a woman with a small business, join MTN Ejumapa today by dialing *5060# and enjoy 150 megabytes data, a lifestyle bundle for social media, free MTN to MTN calls every Monday, and an insurance cover. You will also gain access to expert training, discounts on digital tools, and financial support to grow the business of your dreams. Terms and conditions apply. MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first port of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Takweje, Osu near the Osu Cemetery, Temania Community 4, Takoradi opposite Vijay Mays Plaza, Cape Coast University Bookshop, Spintex Road near Absa Bank, Atomic Centerpoint Mall, Winneba University Campus, KNUST, the University Bookshop, and Santasi in Kumasi. You can also visit our shop online, www.kingdomstoreonline.com. Hurry while stock lasts. For further inquiries, contact us on 050-162-0810 or 0302-764-101. Email info@kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, where quality and affordability is assured. Terms and conditions apply.
Cast your mind back to 2022. The prices were rising. The stress was high. Every liter of fuel felt like a sacrifice. Do you remember who stepped forward first? When others were comfortable with high prices, Star Oil chose you. We cut our own profits so you could keep your AC on, keep your engines running, and keep your life moving without the heavy burden. We gave you room to breathe when things felt tight. Because of you, our star savers, we became number one. Today, the pumps are a battleground. Others are finally cutting prices because they have to. But Star Oil, we do it because we want to. Don't just chase a price, remember a friendship. We were there for you then, and with new innovations coming your way, we are here for you now. Star Oil, still quality and affordable fuels for all.
If you want quality, this be where you belong. Hey, it's a fresh strong. Oh, gonna shout and sing the song. When the sun they hot, syntax no break. When the rain they fall, still no shake. Builders they choose and plumbers they prove. Any project you they start. Every mosquito starting run away.
This advert is FDA approved.
Welcome back to Business on News 9, brought to you by MTN, Kingdom Books on Stationery, Syntex Tanks, and Pepsodent Charcoal and Herbal. My name is Winston Taki. Let's now settle for the details. The International Monetary Fund is urging the Bank of Ghana and other central banks in Africa not to rush to increase policy rate to help check inflation as a result of the current war in the Middle East. The fund noted that it will still be prudent to monitor the current development and get the timing right. Pierre Oliver Gorinchas is Chief Economist and Director of Research Department at the IMF and has been speaking at the launch of the Global Economic Outlook Report in Washington, D.C., USA.
You don't want to let an energy churn into an ongoing inflation problem. So this is why in my remarks I said, of course, central banks cannot do anything about the price of oil, but they can do some wage price spirals, a de-anchoring of inflation expectations, and they're expected to do. So they don't have to step on the brakes right away. They can afford for the major central banks, whether we're looking at the Federal Reserve, the European Central Bank, Bank of Japan, or the Bank of England. We don't necessarily think that they need to raise interest rates right away. But if they see signs that inflation is taking hold, that if they see signs that there are wage price spirals, if they see signs that households and businesses start expecting a more permanent and persistent inflation, then they will need to take action. And that's one of the big lessons that has been learned in the 70s and that we should not forget. The other lesson from that period is the importance, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, the importance of energy diversification.
Pierre Oliver Gorinchas is Chief Economist and Director of Research Department at the IMF. Moving on, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers and some other civil society organizations have appealed for an extended period for the implementation of any decision to reduce taxes on petroleum products at the pumps. The Cabinet has tasked the Minister for Finance and the Minister of Energy to come up with a reduction plan in petroleum prices for the next pricing window to last for 4 weeks due to the war in the Middle East. But speaking to Joy Business, the Executive Secretary of COPEC, Duncan Amoah, appealed for an additional 4 weeks to ensure a lasting relief for consumers.
What you hear today, what you hear yesterday, or you heard yesterday, is to the extent that, look, we are looking to block the Strait of Hormuz. We will not allow any cargo or vessel to pass I don't know what the strategy overall is, but clearly it doesn't look as though we are getting out of the tensions or the conflict as prevails in the Middle East currently is. And so we would rather that we don't go lock up for just 4 weeks and then within the period prices are still rising and then Ghanaians are asking again for government additional intervention. If it is possible for Cabinet to look at it for the next 8 weeks, we think that will be a more sustainable period than the 4 weeks. The war doesn't look it is ending as soon as most of us had anticipated.
Duncan Amoa is the Executive Secretary of COPEC. In another development, the Minister for Energy and Green Transition, John Jinapo, has assured consumers will not be burdened with extra tariffs due to the ongoing project works to replace equipment in substations in the Greater Accra region. Speaking at a supervisory inspection of the project at the My John substation, Mr. Jinapo said the exercise will not bring additional financial costs to businesses and households.
No, we do not intend that we'll burden the consumer with extra tariff. If there's tariff, it will be because of normal activity. Like I said, with refocused ECG, even though this year they are spending less than 2 billion as compared to 9 billion in 2024, they are really prioritizing their expenditure. And for me, that is the difference that we are witnessing. And so let me assure consumers that even if there's a tariff adjustment, it will not be solely because of this upgrade exercise.
John Jinapo is the Minister of Energy and Green Transition speaking there. Now, the Ghana Union of Traders Association is insisting that no avenue has been created to address the challenges posed by the Publican Artificial Intelligence System at the port. The Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority last week assured that there are adequate measures to address the challenges. But speaking on the Super Morning Show, the Vice President of GUTA, Joseph Paddy, emphasized that no redress system has been established to help importers and traders resolve their issues.
A sleepers that we bring in from China, about 42 cartons, now has been lifted to about 160-something thousand Ghana cedis. These are what AI Publican is doing to the business community. Now, it's not just taxing our profit, but it's even taxing our capital. And that is why we've complained several times. We've gone to Ministry of Finance, we've complained to the Minister. In fact, we met the CJ, the Commissioner General. He attested to the fact that, yes, there has been some increase of 40% since the introduction of the AI. But we've seen that it's moved over 40 to 500%, some are over 100%. When we ask where do we have to go to our appeal, formally we used to go to the customs to put in our appeal. Now, we cannot do that appeal at cost. And he assured us that, customs is still holding on to the appeal system. But when we go there, they'll ask you to go to Ministry of Finance. Ministry of Finance, you go to, which decks are you going? We don't even know.
Joseph Paddy is the Vice President of GUTA speaking right there. And that is the end of the business news on Newsnight. My name is Winston Taki. Gemma and Kenneth is standing by for the rest of the bulletin. Ken?
Thank you very much, Winston. It's now time for sports, and Benaya is here with the latest.
Kenneth, while you're waiting for your Madrid side to play Champions League tomorrow, your rivals, Barcelona, they are in action today, and they are hoping for some miracle today against Atletico.
I think they're going to score them because,
You think Barca are going to win?
Yeah, Barca will call
Did
us.
you see Amal's interview yesterday where he was like, he hopes that Lucho, that's the Atletico Madrid's boss, Diego Simeone, puts him on a 1v1 throughout the game. So when they say, this boy, telling the coach to put you in a 1v1 because he knows that when it's a 1v1, he's always going to dominate.
But you know that Atletico Madrid is such a bad team in the Champions League that even if they are leading at the 94th minute, they can still lose the game like they did against Madrid in 2014.
All right, let's see how it goes. But anyway, Barca targets standing Champions League comeback against Atletico Madrid tonight with live commentary from the Joy Sports team. Now, European football takes center stage tonight as Barcelona attempt to overturn a 2-0 deficit against Atletico Madrid in a blockbuster second leg encounter in the UEFA Champions League. Now, the Catalans head into a decisive clash under immense pressure after falling short in the first leg, leaving them with a mountain to climb away in Madrid. Now, goals from Julian Alvarez and Alexander Salot handed Atletico a commanding advantage, putting Diego Simeone's side firmly in control of the tie. Now, however, Barca's rich European pedigree offers them hope, yet for yet another magical night with memories of historic comebacks still fresh among fans. While all eyes will be on the action, Joy Sports team will bring live commentary on radio of tonight's game at 7 p.m. on Hits 103.9 FM, offering in-depth coverage and analysis of what promises to be a dramatic European night. Now, while that is ongoing, we also have Liverpool, who will also be hosting PSG at Anfield. A lot of people are saying that game is already a done deal for PSG, but I don't know what you think, Kenneth. Do you think Liverpool will go through, or you think PSG?
No, they will not. Absolutely not.
PSG are going to carry the night.
Yeah, Liverpool doesn't stand.
So it means you are tipping PSG and Barcelona for today.
Yeah.
All right, let's see how it goes. I'll be back tomorrow to remind you if it goes wrong. That's it for sports, Kenneth.
All right, thank you very much. Let's do some politics this evening because the opposition MPP is seething with anger, describing the arrest of its Bono regional chairman, Kofi Bafo, or Kwame Bafo, popularly known as Abronye, as unwarranted and a disturbing development for Ghana's democracy, even though the party maintains it is unclear what may have triggered the arrest. Reports indicate he was picked up by the Criminal Investigation Department of the Ghana Police Service of allegations of false publication, conduct likely to cause fear and panic, and issuing threats against an Anadenta Circuit Court judge. We can now speak to the minority leader in Parliament, Alexander Athenyo-Markin, who has been questioning the basis for the arrest. Leader, grateful for your time this evening. You intervened to secure the release of Kwame Bafo. What exactly were the conditions attached?
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak on your network. First of all, yesterday, the police granted bail to Abronye and Baba Amandu. This morning, Baba Amandu was to report at 10 a.m. and he reported at 8 a.m. Around 10, the police indicated that he will be needed in court because they want to prosecute him. He obliged them and informed us. So we're all there in court. I was his lead counsel. By the way, Baba Amandu is our Sunyani East communications officer. And the allegation is that he made a social media post that has 3 pictures of some public officers. Now, in court, the police did not apply for remand. The judge tried to push them. They did not. They did not also oppose to my bail application because the police had granted him bail with 1 surety. I stood surety. I signed the bail bond. So I informed the court that he be granted bail on the existing bail terms. In any event, the police had also indicated that they wanted more time to do forensic examination of whatever social media posts.
Right.
Which would require 2 weeks. Then out of nowhere, the judge said he was remanding Baba Amandu in custody for 2 weeks because if he's allowed to go home, he would interfere in investigation. How on earth can a judge make such an order when the police, in its own discretion and knowing the investigation is conducted, feel that the gentleman needed bail and so went ahead to grant bail, and even in open court, the police is not asking for remand. And from nowhere, the judge goes ahead to say that he has a discretion under Section 96 of the Criminal and Other Offences Act, when he actually should have reasonably known that there is also a provision in the Constitution, Article 296 of the Constitution, that regulates or guides the exercise of discretion. My brother, we should not allow this to happen in our country.
Right, but
a shame.
But the police cites serious claims, including threats against the judge. Are you saying these allegations should not have warranted an arrest?
No, you are mixing 2 things. Those issues had to do with Abronye. The police has not prosecuted Abronye.
Right.
The police did not invite Abronye today, you are mixing two things. The Abronye situation has to do with some alleged comments against a judge in Adenta Court. That is not what I'm talking about. The issue I am speaking to has to do with our communication officer in Bono East by name Baba Amando, Sunyani East communication officer, Baba Amando. He was also arrested in Sunyani and brought to Accra, and police granted him bail yesterday when he was brought to Accra. And in court, they said they were still investigating the case, and they would need time.
Right.
This plea was taken, and after the plea was taken, I applied for bail on grounds that he has a fixed place of abode, he's a public servant, and that he has cooperated with the police, that the police itself has not prayed for remand. All these are matters on record. And when the judge inquired from the police, again the police indicated that decision regarding bail is in the bosom of the judge. They did not add anything. They did not say that they want the guy to be remanded because they had granted him bail.
These simultaneous arrests have been described by a section of your party members as politically motivated. Is that something you agree with on?
Obviously, my brother, truth be told, when our friends were in opposition, they complained about certain excesses, and rightly so. When you come into office and you declare a reset, the reset is to make things better, not to escalate and make things worse. We are experiencing a situation where a judge, as if he has predetermined the matter, and this is a judge who is supposed to sit on the case for a full trial, just at the initial stage, what has not been prayed for, you say that no, he has to go on remand. I find it very shameful. And it's a blot on the reputation of the judiciary and our democracy. We should not have judges acting this way. It shouldn't happen.
Right.
In any event, in the court, the issues that they brought up, that some pictures have been posted, and there are some feminist hair that have been planted on those pictures, and question has been asked, are they men or women? In any event, if those public officers feel strong about these things, they have their right in civil action. They have their right in civil action. Those remedies in defamation are there for their lawyers to take them up.
Right.
Why should police invoke the Electronic Communication Act and look out for offenses under Section 775 to more or less arrest them? I am concerned. But let me also commend the police for their professionalism. Yesterday, I was at the police headquarters myself. They have every right to invite a person, investigate. And they did so professionally. In the evening around 7, 8 thereabout, when we left there, I was fully satisfied that Ghana Police Service has entered into a new age of ensuring professionalism. And today in court, the police prosecutor, who himself is a lawyer, acted professionally. And I respect his professionalism.
Right.
And I'm saying so publicly. And I pray that it continues. But the judge was very unprofessional and did everything that amount to a travesty of justice.
Right.
And such must not happen in a country of ours. That we are all advancing the cause of due process and rule of law.
Right.
That you have a circuit court judge who will say that he is exercising discretion to remand somebody, when indeed, after in the Martin Pegu case at the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court was clear that bail must not be used to punish an accused or a suspect.
Right. Minority Leader, thank you very much. Alexander Athonyo-Markin is the Minority Leader in Parliament.
Now, health authorities in the eastern and northeast regions have been compelled to treat patients with various infectious diseases in makeshift wards. When multiple infections are handled in the same room, the risk of cross-infection to patients and health workers increases significantly. Kwete Nate tracks how the gap in infrastructure for treating infectious disease is impacting healthcare in our latest documentary titled Healing in Borrowed Spaces. First, excerpts from our latest documentary.
In many community and district hospitals, when an infectious disease breaks out, there is nowhere designated to manage the case.
The current practice is that when somebody comes with such a disease, let's say, for instance, tuberculosis, we have a very small room that we put the patient in. And there are times where you have to put another infectious disease patient in the same room, putting that other patient at risk of acquiring the tuberculosis.
But in the districts where these infectious disease centers are needed, contractors have abandoned work. Imagine treating tuberculosis, COVID-19, and Mpox patients in the same ward. Different infections, same air, same risk. That's the reality at the Nalarugus Baptist Medical Center in the Northeast region. According to the medical director, Dr. Isabella Amise, the facility had to rely on makeshift single yard.
We had to create makeshift rooms to house these people. Given that Baptist Medical Center is a big hospital, the risk is more evident if you put even one person in a ward that takes care of 40 patients at a time. So it's very important to have the center built and as quickly as possible because we don't know when the next pandemic or epidemic will happen.
Meanwhile, Registrar of the Health Facilities Regulatory Agency, HEFRA, Dr. Winfred Koliteba, says a team will be deployed to inspect the facilities and take the necessary action.
I've chatted of Evian Quanta Regional Hospital. They are registered with the Health Facilities Regulatory Agency, and their license is still active. So they've satisfied all our requirements. But that notwithstanding, we still continue to monitor facilities because the fact that you are licensed does not mean that you will not falter along the line. So if there are any issues regarding the way you provide your service, we can still step in. So we are happy to hear this, and I will send my team very soon to go and cross-check all of that, and then we will put in remedial measures. And where we need to also sanction, we will. And we are happy that this has come up. We will follow up.
So if I understand, the hospital may be registered, but the facility that you're using for these particular treatments may not have been registered. And the hospital should not assume that because they are registered generally, the facility as well can be okay for treatment. Is that the understanding I should be getting?
Yes, please. So when a
Right, and that's it for Newsnight tonight. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. But before we go, here are some of the messages you've been sending to our WhatsApp platform. Francis in Accra says today MPP is complaining of arrest of their members for reckless act. It's very interesting. What did NDC members not face under them? To the health minister, this is thinking is what we call leadership. He should do everything to complete them, to shame MPP and Nana Akufo-Addo. Nana from Springtex Road says if it is easy to complete 100 hospitals and a cathedral, the MPP would have easily done so. They messed the country up financially and must shut up for the current government to work. Nana Ekuyamwa Boatin from Ablekuma Central says this government appears to be confused bunch of people. There are teachers who have taught for more than a year and still have not been paid. Yet this minister says he's recruiting an additional 7,000 people. Kwesi in Kaswa says when Abronye in one way or the other has done something wrong and have been called or arrested for questioning, what is wrong about that? And Francis again from Accra says, has Afenyo Markin forgotten that some few months ago he took the Speaker, Alban Bagbin, to the Supreme Court? Has he forgotten that he was the same person who was defending the court and was asking people to go to court some few months ago? Those are some of the messages you've been sending to our WhatsApp platform. Thank you very much. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi?
My name is Gemma Appiah.
Don't forget to do the tool this evening. Brush with Pepsodent tonight. And up next is Geek Squad with Spiky. Spiky, what are we talking about this evening?
Oh, we're talking about the current state of AI. And I mean, AI has been around for a while, but lots have changed. Now we're wondering if people are up to speed